looks like some acid jazz or this looks like a real cosmic experience. I don't know, I'm gonna pull that just cause let's have a wild card and find the unknown. It might be some heat, you know what I mean? My process of discovering music, I have a lot of different ways. So for those who don't know, I do a weekly radio show called Soulection Radio, and it's been running for 14 years. Primarily new music, but it's forgotten gems. It's also classics, it might be a sample. There's really no boundaries, you know what I mean? I kind of consider myself like a musical anthropologist. We came up through SoundCloud. SoundCloud is still #1 for me personally. I use YouTube a lot, and I'm really heavy on just like, I'll be on TikTok and on IG a lot and just hearing people's sounds. And then just being outside, honestly, pulling up to people's events. I might be down the street, I might hear something outside, and then getting sent music directly from some of the best musicians and producers in the world. That's my process of finding music. So here we are at Okayplayer. I mean, I see a lot of great records here. You got that Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm gonna just obviously, first intuition, things that just stand out. This one stands out for a couple of reasons, because off top, Neptunes production, what happened to that boy? 2002, Neptunes production. Actually, we were just listening to In My Mind in the car on the way here. And we're just talking about how In My Mind was a slept on record. And Neptunes is the DNA. What happened to that boy? I remember being, what, like 8th grade at the time when that came out, and just hearing that production. I still play that instrumental a lot in my sets. I do hear the most new music through my release radar and then also through SoundCloud, because it's like constant every week and every day. I'm not one of them people that I'm too cool to follow. If I mess with you and I want to like know more about your music or your track selection, I'm gonna follow you. And I feel like that's what makes Soulection and myself who we are, because we're just so like open and transparent. If someone's constantly finding the gems, we need to tap in with them too, because they got an ear. Off top, Tame Impala. As I'm seeing, there's so many gems that I don't want to just go off top. Classic. You guys are taking me back into memory lane. This is dope. I've actually never done something like this, so I'm glad that you guys brought me on. Yes, Outkast, ATLiens, man. This is classic, timeless music, 1996. There's so many things I can say about this one, but this is just classic shit, you know? Andre, Big Boy. I think this is just a very important record, just for not hip hop, but also for Atlanta. You know, before we got all the trap, this was like, these are like the originators of it. And the bars are just so refreshing. Has that southern feel, but still like feels like hip hop. I think most people discover Soulection through the radio show, and Serato Stems has, you know, enabled a lot of new DJs to like create edits and live mashups and blends. I think that's really changed the game for DJing. But because of social media and the new way of self-marketing, it's actually amplified and allowed us to spread, you know, it might reach someone's cousin, or it might reach like someone in high school that like is listening to the latest rapper or singer, but then it's mixed with the sample. Now we're catching our parents', you know, generation. I really love that, because it just shows how wide the palette is and how great the music. You know, we got the classic and the new. Oh, hold up, Ghostface? That's hard, hold up. Nally Sweat, it's another, if I'm not mistaken, Neptunes. Yeah, I feel like Pharrell produced probably everything on here. I'm gonna pull this one because it's classic. Like, we're in New York, and just, come on, Ghostface, Wu-Tang. He has so much charisma. This album cover is just hard, you know what I mean? Oh man, come on, who is Jill Scott? Classic, we talking about the Neo Soul era. Shout out Jazzy Jeff. This is self-explanatory. I don't have to say much about this, but this is just something you need in your collection. Another part of, you know, the Soulection DNA of just an era of time, 2000s. I grew up listening to a variety of things, but you know, my mom was super heavy on Sade, which is a big part of why I play a lot of Sade stuff. It's self-explanatory. I mean, she's one of the best in the world, and I think a lot of us grew up to it. It's just a nostalgic sound. My mom would always play her around the house. We actually went to go see her together back in 2011 on one of her last tours, and I was super, you know, grateful for that experience. Every time I play a Sade joint, it's like a tribute to my mother. Grew up listening to Badu, Obviously being from the West Coast, a lot of like Pac, you know, Snoop was played. And then my mom would be playing some like Rage Against the Machine, just like some alternative sounds, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of reggae played, house music. My uncle was heavy into house and techno. So it made me curious of like, what were they experiencing? You know what I mean? And so I think I had like a nice range. Of course, we got MJ, Foxy Brown, classic with China Doll. Of course, man, Good Kid, M.A.A.D City. Obviously, Kendrick running things. I'm trying to really pick a couple of records that like, obviously this is an important record, but I want to just kind of pick some deeper cuts, you know what I mean, if I can. There's no format here, but I'm just like, I mean, there's so many classics that I can just be like, oh, here's like top 10, top 12, you know, classic albums, but there's also just some like deeper joints. I mean, man, you guys got some heat in here. My favorite album artwork, I have this, you know, Doom record behind me. That one stands out to me the most because I think sometimes less is more. It's the first storytelling of what you're about to hear, what you're about to taste. Mad Villain and my ties to Eric Coleman is like something that stands out. When you look at the cover, obviously it's Doom's mask, but I just think it's like, it just feels like a moment. It's serious and it feels like he has something to say. It's like recognizable. So I think this brings like an invitational welcoming of like, I need to listen to it. Isaac Hayes, man, first of all, his album cover is insane. The fold out like that, the doors opening, that's an experience, you know what I mean? I mean, this is obviously a live album, but you listen to things, I might not have heard of every joint on here, but just this got my attention. All these amazing photos and these portraits, beautifully shot. So I'm really big on album covers and the experience of it.
What's your favorite song out of the catalog?
Ooh, that's a great question. You put me on the spot. It would have to come down to like 3 different artists, producers, right? It would come down to either like Sango, Monty Booker, or Sam Gellaitry, man. I would say those 3 have been super influential in the sound and production. But in terms of an actual Soulection Records catalog, one of our biggest songs from like the beginning of time, which was Sango, Middle of Things, you know what I mean? And that was featuring Xavier Omar. That record, North, I believe it came out in 2013. It was just such a pivotal point for Soulection. We're only like 2 years old at the time. But if I'm thinking about on impact on original music, even going on to DSPs and even the success of SoundCloud and what those records did that weren't even upkept on data. Pre all that, I would say like easily one of those records from the North album. I would say Sango was like one of the founding fathers of the sound. When that record was played, people recognize that. In today's sound, I'd probably play like some WizKid or like some fusion of like Afro beats with a bit of an Alte sound or take it into a Jamaican sound. That's like a good pocket to kind of bring like the R&B and soul. And I would probably take it that direction where it's like this smooth Afro beats kind of Caribbean sound and then take it up and start getting into some more tempo. So instead of like actually picking songs, what I can say is I know I would take it to a certain palette of sounds in a certain diaspora. Anytime I see a Japanese label, this looks like some acid jazz or this looks like a real cosmic experience. I don't know, I'm gonna pull that just cause let's have a wild card and find the unknown. It might be some heat, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's everyone's holy grail. This album cover is shot by Eric Coleman. Shout out to my guy of Mochilla, one of my OGs. There's people who've never even heard this project, but everyone recognizes this. I think it just shows how important photography is as well. This cover speaks volumes. 20 years later, the music is still timeless, and there's just so many classics and so many moments that people attach their lives to, and we don't really hear music like this anymore. One thing about me is I buy music. I have to play new music every single week, and so I'm on iTunes still buying tracks. I'm on Bandcamp buying tracks. I'm supporting artists in any way that I could. I'm buying their vinyl, buying their merch. I think one of the last records I bought was probably this Alex Isley record. It just depends on what I'm playing on the show that week. So because it's coming out on DSPs, in order for me to get that download, I gotta copy. And I like buying on Bandcamp because that money goes directly to the artists. They get that money right away. Off top, Proper Dealer record I see. There's no hesitation that I'm pulling this in. I respect what he did on Donuts because he was on his last year, his last days while he made this. So to hear like this is what he was on, this is what he was feeling and interpreting, this is like therapy for me. I think that's why people gotta tap in. This isn't just music, it's like someone's like final goodbye. See some more Tyler. I love Tyler and what he's about as an artist. Like, I mean, he's like the full package and the real person that shows you how to do a vertical as a full artist, from clothing to music to lifestyle. This album, so many classics. I mean, if I had to choose, Good Kid, M.A.A.D City, both classic, but like, I guess good, you know what? If I had to choose, personally, both fire, but this was the one. This is the one that kicked things off, and I think we could all agree. The last concert, man, I go to so many shows, I'm just like, what was the last concert that I went to? Oh, K-Tronada in South Africa, and man, it was incredible to be there and then to see local acts playing, other well-known producers in the South African music community was just fire to see. You know, when he walks in the room, K-Tronada is an artist, you know what I mean? In fact, he's bigger than other vocalists and things like that, just as that's how powerful of a producer he is. I really feel like he's created a blueprint for many, and I was happy to go see that. Ooh, first of all, I'm gonna pick this because we got a lot of male-driven music right now. Want to diversify with some women, and this is just a classic. I feel like Brandy didn't get put out enough music. She's such a gem, but for what she did put out, like heat. There's so many hits on here. There's tracks that I actually still play sometimes in my set. This is an important album, classic, and this music still hits, real R&B music. Oh yeah, we're gonna do a Mac Miller joint, rest in peace. Circles. What I liked about Mac is that he was not hesitant to put people on and kind of bring people with him. This guy was fearless and very musical. Like, he was a beathead producer as well at heart, and really dope MC. Two artists that I want to see collaborate and why. I think it'd be dope to see Kendrick and Quil Soul collaborate. I think that'd be a dope, just because they're both very spiritual, the pen game is crazy, and they're both very intentional. They don't just work with anybody, you know what I mean? And I just feel like if they made a record together, it would sound amazing. Classic, Illmatic, self-explanatory, but you know, New York State of Mind, The World Is Yours, Memory Lane. I mean, there's just so much here to speak about, and in terms of like just the DNA, 1994. Probably go with this Luther record because Luther has been just very influential in samples and just still to this day. Luther's just incredible voice, incredible range. Favorite music video? It would definitely have to be something from Hype Williams, to be honest. I just think Hype Williams was just a visionary in how he shot. And when you think about the 90s and 2000s, I mean, every great music video that we saw on TV at the time was just a hit. Hype Williams was essentially that as a director. Every big artist of all sounds were going to him to produce and direct their video. I don't have a favorite, to be honest, but I think I wanted to just highlight Hype Williams as a visionary because he is responsible for like just making things look good, feel good, and match the sound, you know what I mean? And just did it in like very unique angles and shot in a way that was just like timeless, you know? This is Joe K, and I just got to dig the crates with Okayplayer.